up about 5 years ago, well before I met him. From what he told me, their relationship was intense, but they were very young and simply grew in different directions. She moved to another city for school. They lost touch, and that was it. At least that's what I thought. Throughout our relationship, Marcus never hid anything about Jessica. He was very open about his past, which always made me feel safe. Sometimes she liked his Instagram photos, but nothing major. I didn't mind because, honestly, I was confident in our relationship. Marcus loved me. I knew it. And we were building a life together. But apparently, Jessica wasn't completely over it. I later discovered that she had started obsessively. Following Marcus on social media about 6 months before the wedding. She knew every detail, where the ceremony would be, the time, even the color of the flowers. Like I said, I posted everything on my Instagram because I was so excited. The wedding day arrived and I was on cloud 9. I woke up early, had a special breakfast with my bridesmaids, and had that beautiful photo shoot getting ready. You know how it is. My dress was a dream come true, all French lace with a long train and a 3-meter veil. I felt like a princess. We arrived at the church a little late, as is tradition, and I could hear the music playing inside. My heart was pounding so hard, but it was from pure happiness and good nerves. My father was beside me, holding my arm, and he whispered in my ear that he was proud of me. It was a moment I will cherish forever. The church doors opened, and there I was, staring down that long aisle decorated with white and pale pink rose petals. Everyone stood. The cameras started rolling, and I could see Marcus up front, handsome in his navy blue suit, with that smile that had made me melt since day one. I began walking toward the altar, smiling at the guests and waving discreetly to a few family members. Everything was perfect, exactly as I had dreamed for years. The music was beautiful, the flowers were stunning, and the love I felt in that moment was indescribable. It was about halfway down the aisle that I heard a strange murmur coming from the back of the church. At first, I thought it might just be someone arriving late or a child making noise. But the murmur grew louder, and I realized something was up. I kept walking because, well, what else was I supposed to do? But I noticed some people were looking back instead of at me. Marcus also noticed something was off, and I saw a look of confusion on his face. My heart started racing, but no longer from happiness. It was then that I heard someone yelling from behind, "Stop the ceremony!" And man, I swear my heart almost stopped. I turned around slowly, still holding my father's arm, and what I saw left me completely shocked. Jessica was there, standing at the entrance to the church, and she was wearing a white dress. Not just any white dress, folks. It was a wedding dress, complete with veil, bouquet, and everything. She was literally dressed as a bride at my wedding. The silence that fell over the church was deafening. You could have heard a needle drop. All 150 guests turned to look at her, then at me, then at Marcus. I was paralyzed. I literally couldn't move or speak. Jessica started walking down the aisle toward the altar, and boy, was she acting like the bride, smiling, waving, tossing petals from her bouquet. It was the most surreal thing I've ever seen in my life. I felt like I was in a horror movie or a very bad prank. My father, who was standing next to me, turned red with anger. I could feel the tension in his arm. He whispered to me, "Sarah, what the hell is going on?" And I honestly didn't know what to say because I was as shocked as he was. Marcus, up front, had an expression I'd never seen before. It was a mix of shock, anger, and embarrassment. He started walking toward the hallway, clearly trying to intercept Jessica before she reached us. But Jessica was faster. She literally ran the last few meters and positioned herself right next to the altar, like a second bride. And then, and this was the craziest part of all, she started talking. "Marcus," she said loudly so everyone could hear, "I can't let you make this mistake. We know we still have something special, and you're only marrying her because you're afraid of our true love." Man, I almost fainted. It wasn't even what she said, but the way she said it, with such conviction, as if she truly believed it. And worst of all, she was saying this in front of my entire family, my friends, and my 90-year-old grandmother, who had traveled from another state to be there. Marcus turned completely red and started to speak, but Jessica interrupted him. "I know you still love me, Marcus. You told me last month when we met for coffee." And then, my world fell apart. They met? Last month? Marcus never told me anything about it. I looked at him, expecting an explanation, a denial, anything. And the expression on his face told me everything I needed to know. It was true. At this point, the priest, who had been silent, trying to understand what was happening, decided to intervene. "Miss," he said to Jessica, "this is a private ceremony, and I ask that you leave immediately." But Jessica didn't care about the priest. She continued, "Sarah, I'm so sorry for you, but Marcus never loved you like he loves me. We have a history, a connection that you will never have. He's only marrying you because it's safe, because it's easy." And man, those words hit me like a punch in the gut, because in some twisted way, they made sense in my head. Marcus was very affectionate with me, but our relationship had always been quiet, without much fiery passion. Was I really just the safe option? That's when my maid of honor, my best friend since college, decided to take action. She stood up from the front row and walked over to Jessica. "You need to leave here, now," she said firmly. "This isn't your day, it's not your wedding, and you have no right to do this." But Jessica didn't move. Instead, she turned to the guests and shouted, "Someone here has to stop this. Marcus is making the biggest mistake of his life." And then she began to cry. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of despair, as if she were having a mental breakdown right there in the church. At that moment, I realized the situation was completely out of control. Guests were filming with their cell phones. Children were crying, in fear. And my mother looked like she was going to have a heart attack. I looked at Marcus and said, "We need to talk. Now." But before Marcus could respond, Jessica did something no one expected. She took off her veil and threw it to the ground, stomping on it. Then she picked up the bouquet and threw it at me, hitting my dress and leaving a dusty stain from the flowers. "If I can't have Marcus," she screamed, "then no one can." And then, I swear to God, she started ripping her own dress right there in front of everyone. That's when I realized Jessica was having some kind of psychotic break. Finally, some of my cousins got up and went to her. They took her by the arms, gently but firmly, and began escorting her out of the church. Jessica was screaming and thrashing, talking nonsense about how Marcus was hers and always would be. As they led her away, she looked at me one last time and said, "You'll see, Sarah. He'll never truly love you. You'll always be second best." And those words, folks, echoed in my head long after she left the church. After Jessica was removed, there was this awkward silence. Everyone was looking at Marcus and me, waiting to see what would happen. The priest asked if we wanted to continue with the ceremony, but I honestly didn't know what to do. I looked at Marcus and said, We need to talk about this date you guys had." He tried to explain right there, in front of everyone, that it was just a casual coffee, that Jessica had contacted him saying she was passing through town and wanted to say goodbye because she was moving abroad. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, and he said he didn't want to worry me because it didn't mean anything to him. But hey, if it didn't mean anything, why hide it? That question kept ringing in my head. We decided to take a break. I went to the church's adjoining hall with my bridesmaids, while Marcus chatted with his groomsmen. I could hear the guests quietly chatting, speculating about what had happened and what would happen next. My friends tried to convince me that Jessica was just a disturbed person and that I shouldn't let it affect my relationship with Marcus. My mother was furious, saying we should call the police and charge Jessica with public nuisance. But I couldn't stop thinking about her words. "You'll always be second best." Was it true? Did Marcus really still have feelings for Jessica? Had their encounter really been innocent? After about 20 minutes, Marcus came into the room. He knelt in front of me and held my hands. "Sarah," he said, "I swear to you, I have no feelings for Jessica. Yes, I met with her, and yes, I should have told you. It was my mistake, but it was just courtesy." She said she was moving and wanted to say goodbye. He went on to explain that Jessica had been acting strangely during coffee, making comments about our relationship and asking if he was sure he wanted to marry me. He said he felt uncomfortable and cut the date short, and that's why he didn't tell me, because he knew I'd be upset for no reason. "But I had a right to know," I told him. "It was my choice whether to be upset or not. You hiding this from me makes me wonder what else you might be hiding." And it's true, folks. Trust is the foundation of a relationship, and in that moment, I felt like that foundation was shaken. Marcus promised he would never hide anything from me again, that it was just an error of judgment, and that he loved me more than anything in the world. He said the proof was that he was there, at the altar, ready to spend the rest of his life with me. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But the whole situation had left me deeply shaken. It wasn't just the secret meeting, but also the way Jessica had acted so confidently about his feelings. Troubled people sometimes see signs that aren't there, but sometimes they also see truths no one else wants to admit. After much thought and conversation with my friends, I decided I wanted to continue with the marriage, but on one condition. I told Marcus that we needed couples therapy after the honeymoon to work on trust and communication issues. He immediately agreed. We returned to the church, which was still full of waiting guests. The priest gave a short speech about how true love overcomes all obstacles and challenges, which was quite appropriate for the situation. And then, finally, after all this drama, we were married. The ceremony was beautiful, despite everything. When Marcus kissed me at the end, I felt like we were beginning a new chapter in our lives, one based on complete honesty and transparency. The guests applauded, and many came up to congratulate us afterwards, saying they admired our strength in overcoming the situation. The wedding reception was incredible. Everyone was talking about the drama, of course, but in a way that showed support for us. Several people said they were impressed by how we handled the situation, maintaining dignity and love above all else. During the party, we learned more about Jessica through mutual friends. Apparently, she had ended a serious relationship a few months earlier and was going through a rough patch. Some said she had developed an unhealthy obsession with Marcus and me, obsessively following our social media accounts. We also discovered that the wedding dress she wore had been purchased online specifically for our wedding. She had planned everything in advance, which made the situation even more disturbing. It wasn't an impulsive act. It was premeditated. The honeymoon was exactly what we needed. We went to Greece and spent 2 weeks talking, reconnecting, and establishing new foundations for our relationship. Marcus was completely open about everything, even things I hadn't asked about. And I did the same. When we returned, we began couples therapy, as we had agreed. It was one of the best decisions we made. The therapist helped us work through not only the issues related to the marriage incident, but also improve our communication in general. A week after our return, we received an email from Jessica. She apologized profusely for what had happened, explaining that she was going through a personal crisis and had acted irrationally. She said she was in therapy and taking medication, and that she understood if we could never forgive her. Marcus wanted to respond immediately, but I asked us to think first. We talked to our therapist about it, and she helped us craft a response that set clear boundaries, but also demonstrated compassion for Jessica's mental health. We responded by saying we understood she was struggling, but that her actions had caused her a lot of pain and embarrassment. We said that while we could eventually forgive, we needed her to respect our marriage and our privacy, with no further contact. Jessica responded respectfully, agreeing to our terms and wishing us well. So far, she's respected our boundaries, and I hope she continues to do so. The most interesting thing about all of this is how the experience strengthened us as a couple. We went through a trial by fire on our first day of marriage, and we managed to overcome it together. We learned the importance of complete communication and absolute trust. Today, 4 months after the wedding, I can say I'm happier than ever. Marcus and I have a deeper, more honest relationship than ever before. We still go to couples therapy monthly, not because we have problems, but because we believe in the importance of maintaining strong communication. And about Jessica, well, I think about her from time to time and hope she's okay. What she did was terrible and inappropriate, but I also recognize that she was clearly suffering. I hope she found the help she needed and is in a better place now. The lesson I take from all this is that true love isn't just about the happy, easy times. It's about how you deal with adversity together, how you support each other through the tough times, and how you choose to grow and strengthen through the challenges. Our marriage may not have started the way we planned, but it began with a valuable lesson in trust, communication, and compromise. And for that, strangely, I'm grateful for the experience, traumatic as it was at the time. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. I know it was a long and intense story, but I needed to share all the details so you could truly understand what happened and how we got through it. True love truly conquers all, but only when both people are willing to fight for it together.